Hey, welcome to Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. I'm your host, Dr. J. Nicole. Here we are rising in faith and thriving in purpose. And today I have a very special guest with me. He is an entrepreneur. He has more than 35 years of experience. He is a master barber and he's a father. He is the son of God, but y'all, he's also my barber. So this beautiful creation is a collaboration between me and him. I had the pleasure of first sitting in his chair back in 2017. He probably thought I was real crazy because I was trying to come in a barber shop with my dog when he was a little puppy because people was letting me bring Riley everywhere because he was so cute. And this man right here was like, that's not hygienic. He gotta go. I don't care how cute he is. He gotta go. So that was the start of things, and I actually kept your number in my phone. And I put it as Barber Vernon intentionally. But before we get into all of that, I'd like to formally welcome you to Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. Everyone, let's give a warm welcome to Vernon Young.
Thank you for having
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. So I kind of got a little excited in the intro there talking about how we first met. If y'all know me, listeners, and my family and friends that are also listening, y'all know I change my hair all the time. So I met Vernon in 2017. I was doing an asymmetric cut and I had the side shaved. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna shave it off. I didn't know this man. I ain't researched this man, but I was like, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna get my hair cut. And I ended up in his chair as God would have it. And so I remember at that time, Vernon, I was like, I'm not gonna remember this man name. So I have to put it in here as Barber Vernon, right? Not knowing that I was leaving a clue for future me. Okay. Cause you remember I texted you out the blue last summer and I'm
yeah,
like, hey, you still in the DMV, you still cutting hair. Cause
and I
I
was
was
all back.
Yes, I was on a divine assignment because God had told me to cut my hair. He had gave me my identity back. Divorce was final, all the things. And so that meant all of old Genie had to go away. And so I was like, what is that man's name? I had texted a couple of people who I know have, good clean cuts. One of them hit me with a barber. Her services was like 200. I said, it's giving spa, but it's not giving spa. And I just need a good haircut.
Mhm.
So, then I was like, "You put that man in your phone as Barbara Vernon." How I remember that in 2024, 7 years later, like I said, I had left a clue for future self. And so I reached out to you, and you were a huge part of my transformation. God had already been doing work internally, but He had gave me a vision that I would have a different body, be healthier. I'd have short hair and it would be blonde. And so I found myself in your chair immediately the same day I got divorced. So thank you for
Well,
helping me to be obedient to God, and part of the transformation, because a lot of people thought I was crazy from chopping my hair off that quick, but it's what he told me to do. So, welcome. And I'm glad we could stay connected and that you
thank you,
were
thank
indeed back. So, today's episode, we are going to be talking about faith moves, right? So, that intro, too, I was on a faith move and Vernon answered the call to help me, right? But today is faith moves, how to recognize when it's time to shift. There are seasons in life when God calls us to move. And that
you. Yes,
move could look very different. So whether it's a career shift, a new city, change a relationship, a haircut, but stepping into purpose. But how do you truly know that it's time to shift versus it being some discomfort, impatience, rather than like a transition? So making faith moves requires both discernment, also some courage, and even some trust. So in this episode, we're going to explore how to recognize when God is calling you to shift, how to move in obedience and make things happen as you take bold steps in faith. All right, Vernon. So, or you want me to call you V? How you want me to refer to you today?
Vernon.
Okay, got you. Oh, I forgot something super dope to tell y'all about Vernon. He is also a future author. I'm speaking life, and other people gonna hear it. It's out in the universe. It's happening. He is also a future author, and he has a story to tell. So, Vernon, How do you know when it's time to shift?
Well, as I was raised and as I can remember from my aunties, my great aunties, and everybody being involved with the church and making us go to Sunday schools back in the days and stuff like that, where you had to go to Sunday school regardless
Had
because
to.
because Sunday school was also before and after care. So you had no excuse of not going anywhere. They've always told me God's gonna move on his time.
Yeah.
And he has created every one of us uniquely different. So everybody's calling is going to be different. Some are going to be uncomfortable. Some are going to be very clear,
Mhm.
but you won't start recognizing it until you start accepting. And I think accountability has a lot to do with it
Okay.
because if sometimes we get caught up in what's going on to us around them situations instead of looking at what we're doing to contribute to them things.
Okay.
And for me, once I got to a point where I started taking steps back and looking at my life
Mm.
and started taking accountability and blaming myself for a lot of things instead of blaming others saying why he keep doing this, why she keep doing this. I started looking at
Mhm.
myself. Why am I putting myself in these situations? Why am I around these situations? Why am I afraid to move away and stop looking at it?
I'm hearing accountability rather than blame.
Yeah, but we grow up with the blame. I got to get away
Okay.
from these people because
Okay.
they don't do nothing but this.
Uh-huh. And
you know,
judgment. Uh-huh.
and judgment.
Yeah.
So once I stopped doing that, and this was part of my growth, and the more I was searching for a more intimate relationship with God, I stopped looking at things as deja vu and started looking at them as confirmation and visions.
Ooh, talk to me up some more about that. That sound real rich.
To go into everything that you asked, it was more so of deja vu is something that we created as humans. I've seen this before.
Okay.
But then we sit around and say, I dreamt that.
Okay.
It's we listen to our aunties and grandmas and them. Remember they used to grow up and say, I dreamed of fish,
Somebody pregnant.
somebody pregnant.
Yeah.
But that was a faith calling for them. They always said they were praying people, and those are the people that you heard say stuff like that. They never called it a deja vu or, this seems familiar or anything like that. They
Mhm.
always came off as faith callers on those things. So once I started calming my life down and things started coming to me, I stepped back and said, okay, if I'm going to trust God, and I'm seeing these visions. Before I started looking at them as visions and was accepting them as deja vu, I used to say, oh my God, I've been here before. And I would shift myself away from it because I'm already automatically assuming it's something bad getting ready to happen. So once I started looking at it as visions, I said, okay, God, I'm trusting you.
Mhm.
Whether it's right or wrong, you're going to get something out of it. And my move might not be for me. You
Yeah.
might need me to be somewhere where you need me to be.
Yeah.
So I started walking into my faith. And that's when I started knowing this is my shift. These are my shifts. So if I feel it's a time for me to move somewhere or go somewhere, even as much as I don't want to because I'm worried, I still go.
Obedience.
That's where the obedience come in at. Like I said, I just started reminiscing about a lot of things. And
Mhm.
when the things that as we grow up, we start hearing things or seeing ourselves say things that we grew up around,
We repeating it. Yeah.
and I started looking at it like that. And I said, okay, I'm going to listen. I can't say that I trust my faith and I'm not obedient enough to walk in my faith.
Ooh, that's good. Can't say that I trust my faith if I'm not obedient enough to walk in it.
Walk in my faith. So,
Mhm.
when you start hearing other things, I grew up with, oh, God bless me with a car. Oh, God bless me with a house. Oh, God bless this
Mhm.
move or this
Mhm.
and that. And I start saying to myself, I'm going to pray for what I need. And when it's time for me, He will give me that path.
Mhm.
Even if that path isn't directly for me, like I said, sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable. It might be for someone else.
Mhm.
But to me, I feel that everything in life has a purpose.
Uh-huh.
No matter where, who, how, or what, there's a purpose. If you truly believe in your faith, then you got to believe. You can't get up and say, I'm going to let go and let God. I'm going to move when God going to move me, but you're
Mhm.
still trying to control the directions.
Mhm.
You can't do that. You can't say, Jesus, take the wheel, but you don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
But our human nature does that to us. So with me, it comes so comfortable now.
Okay.
And my comfort is the obedience
Comfort in
because
obedience. That's good.
because now I see, like I said, bad or good, God is going to get something out of this situation. And
Mhm.
even if I don't get absolutely nothing out of it, I know I'm supposed to be where I am. I know I know I'm supposed to go to where I'm supposed to be for whatever reason it needs me to be, long as I'm still alive.
Mhm. Mhm.
God is using me for something. You can't wake up in the morning. I wake up every morning and I get on my knees and I pray and I thank Him. And I started looking at it differently and saying, you know what? How can I thank you for waking me up this morning, but I won't let you use me? So that's when I started doing that, my shifts start coming in different ways.
Mhm.
And I just make sure I put God in everything I do, no matter what it is. You know, if I go somewhere where I know, oh, it's going to be some drama in there, but I go.
Mhm.
For that moment that I'm there, that drama might not be there. For that moment that I'm there, it might bump into somebody to see me and say, let me get out of here. You never know what your
Mm.
purpose is going to be used for.
Mhm.
Like you said in the beginning, and I told you this when you came, when you came back, that you reached for something
Mhm.
years ago. Like you said, let me put this name in here the way it's need to be.
Yeah.
You put that in the atmosphere,
Mhm.
not knowing that I had moved and came back in the matter of what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I had known. So no, it was like 7 years. I think the
Yeah.
last time you might have cut my hair. Ooh. I don't know. I think it was in 17. Yeah.
And you on your journey,
Mhm.
I'm on my journey,
I had left too. I had left and was in New York.
right? But look
Mhm.
at, like you said, the divine
Yep.
brings it together.
Yep.
You searched and God didn't make it hard for you.
Nope.
You have it. Here's right here in your face. And I'm working on him and y'all need to bump into each other and see each other.
Yep.
So that's how I take my shifts. I sit around, they call it old school barbering, but I sit around because I know this is not a job for me. This is my career.
Okay.
This is something God blessed me with. God blessed me to use these hands and my eyes and my mind to
Mhm.
be able to be an artist
To create.
and touch. And that used to be a joke in the barbershop. We lay hands on people.
Okay. I had never heard that before.
And what comes behind that is a good haircut makes you feel good.
Sure does.
A hairdo makes you feel good. So
Mhm.
if I got the powers to put hands on you and send you out with good energy and have a good conversation, and just the same, when we're talking and we bring God in that conversation, He's working on both of us at the same time. But
Yep.
it pleases me more than just giving you a haircut, but to see you walk out feeling different and seeing your walk different when you walk out that door than you came in.
You be paying way more attention probably than people realize.
Yeah, I do. I got to know when God need me.
Yeah.
I got to know my opportunities to know when I need someone,
Mhm.
because you never know. Vice versa, like I said, God put me in a place to be,
Mhm.
but you walking in there never know what I'm going through.
Mhm.
Your energy might collide with mine's. Some, toxic and toxic mix. People say it don't, but it does. It just doesn't turn into nothing. It just turns into more mess. It's still a mix.
Toxic is still toxic.
Right.
Mhm.
But you can also pour it out,
Okay.
clean it up, pour something pure into it, and watch that light. The color of clear is real bright. So
Mhm.
when I look at things like that, like I told you, when you told me about your journey, you told me what you were seeking as far as your career and everything, I
Mhm.
told you, I said, I'm so glad God brought us back together, because He talks to me physically.
Mhm.
And no matter what you were going through, I needed to see that energy. That was another shift for me.
Mm.
Because, like I said, you never know what's going on in my mind. My business gets slow. I could have been sitting there stressing about money, customers, what I'm going to do next. The generation has changed in my
Mhm.
industry. I've been doing this 35 years.
Yeah.
So I've seen it go here, here, go away. I've retired twice.
Okay,
But
Michael Jordan.
Hey, but once again, I know my calling. I know my shifts. The first time I retired, I used to get angry and not consider myself as a barber. I'm not a
Oh,
barber. I'm not a barber. I hate when people call me a barber. I'm not a barber. I just cut hair. It's a side hustle.
okay. You really
And I
wasn't
know
feeling
my,
it.
yeah, but once I sat still,
Mhm.
why do you keep going back to it?
'Cause you weren't a barber, though, so you weren't wrong in what you were saying. It's almost giving healer if we're thinking about this from the perspective of spiritual gifts as they talk about it in, is that First Corinthians 12? Look, I'll pull up the scripture, I'll find it. But all the different spiritual gifts, we all have them, right?
Mhm.
But how they're used is very different for everyone.
But that's where that obedience come from. Because if you don't, if I didn't, if I wasn't obedient to my faith,
Mhm.
I would never recognize that I keep going back to the same thing. It's a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
God blessed me with a talent. It's a reason.
Mhm.
I'm getting added into people's families
Mm.
from my occupation. There's a reason.
Mhm.
All of those things that I just said were things that I was missing in my own life.
Ooh, the way that he be filling in the gaps and we don't even know what's happening.
So I just looked at everything as a reason. So
Mm.
those are the shifts. God, what
Okay.
am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?
I love the way you're posed right now because that symbolizes to me taking your hands off of it. It symbolizes surrender, letting God
That's what
have
I
his
did.
way.
You got to. What am I supposed to do? Not what you want me to do. What am I supposed to do?
Mhm.
And once I did that, I go to work and everything comes clear. This is what this is where I need you.
Yeah.
Because I need you to see things and I need you to give things.
But also, who doesn't come into the barber shop? I don't know a segment of people who are exempt from going to the barber.
We get them all shapes, sizes, and
Like, that's a
forms.
real nice mug you got. Let me see that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it says Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. But yeah, everybody needs a good haircut.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're seeing people from all walks of life, even just sitting in the barber shop. There's such a diversity in people who are the barbers, their customers, the people who are just walking in who maybe don't know. And they're like, I need a haircut. Something's moving them to come into the shop. Like you just never
Mhm.
know. So, oh, go ahead.
No, go.
No, I was going to ask another question, but I
Go
think you
ahead.
had somewhere to go.
No.
What tell me about some of the times where you actually recognize some of those signs, whether they were spiritual, circumstantial, emotional, that said it was time to change, it was time to shift. What were some of those signs you experienced?
Back in I want to say 2005, 2000.
Okay.
I moved to New Jersey and I always called it, that's where I'm from, Jersey. Well, from Jersey, but I was born in DC.
Okay. Okay.
Every time I had an issue, I would go back to Jersey.
Mm.
And it used to be a joke for so many years. Boy, you know where your safety blanket is.
Yeah.
Because I will get so angry with my world that I would
Mm.
shut everything down.
Mhm.
And I would just look at myself, even in prayer, praying angry,
But praying nonetheless.
but nonetheless, I don't want this, God. I don't know what I did. I need to start all over. Run to Jersey.
But you was telling God what you needed to do.
Exactly. But what God was doing was showing me my strength. No punishment. I'm going to let you keep banging your head on that wall because you're not going to hurt yourself, but you're
Mm.
going to sooner or later realize everything that you want and need, you pushing into the wall. It wasn't standing in front of me.
Mm.
You're pushing it into the wall. And it took me a few years to realize when that was coming in my ears that way, was standing, what I was pushing into the wall was me. I was doing that to myself.
Ooh.
So I said, okay, let me stop. Let me do what I need to do, where I want to be, where I want to go, this and that, because you have opened up all these doors for me.
Mm.
But all I keep doing is peeking in them.
At least you were curious, but it was for you to step into. It was your door with your name on it.
Yes.
And it's
So it
giving you didn't know if you belonged or if you were afraid of what was in the door or yeah.
all of the above. So
Okay.
as my friends going home, my comfort zone, as they used to say to me, you know where to run to. You're a runner.
He's a runner. He's a track star.
I had to
Mhm.
catch myself. Hold
Mm.
on now. I don't run from nothing.
Mm.
I started looking at everything around me. One thing that used to keep me from, and it was kind of depressing to me, and I had to take it that way, and I had to make myself be angry about it for my loved ones up in Jersey. I used to tell people, I can write down 5 names, get in the car right now, and take you to exactly where everybody's at. That was letting me know if I stayed up there, nothing would change.
Okay.
Nothing has changed.
Mm.
We've gotten older, but we still doing the same things.
Mhm. Uh-huh. What I'm
So when you
hearing is there is comfort and predictability. And if you had gotten to the point where you needed to shut down, you're going back because you know what to expect, which meant it gave you room to recover.
recover,
Okay.
I can go up there, do what I need to do, fix my life and move on somewhere else. I can
Mm.
do that
Mm.
easily. But like I said, showed me I'm pushing myself against this wall because it was familiar.
Yeah.
I know where the wall at. You know what? Let me run into this wall. Here I am back in this space again. Let me go run into this wall, get my mind together. I had to stop doing it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I had to stop doing that. And it took a minute. It took a minute and it was hurtful.
Hmm.
It was emotional. Had to just, even even people in my life that has crossed me in so many ways have delivered messages from God, as I believe,
Okay.
to me by pushing me to do what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And I used to take it in the reverse and take it as you're pushing me to go away.
Yeah. And even when you were talking about running and you're like, hold on, I don't run from anything. And I was like, it's all about perspective. The same way you're saying is like, because you're running to something at the same time,
hmm
but
It's
it's
two,
perspective.
it's 3 sides to everything,
Mhm.
in life. And I really truly believe that is how you're going to see it, how other people are going to see you, and what God sees.
Okay. I like that. That's
And
the
I've
first time I've
all
heard it that way, and it makes the most sense.
and I've grew up on from a child as far as I can remember. My great aunt, rest her soul, I used to always hear her say, the only perfect gift God has created in humans was free will.
Mm.
But your obedience to his faith, he will always show up no matter which way you choose,
Mhm.
right or wrong. He's
Yeah.
gonna get something out of it, but you have to be obedient to it
And he
because that's
also
your choice.
rewards. Yep. And he rewards
He
obedience.
rewards.
So even when you said earlier, you were like, even though I may not get anything out of it, I don't think that's the case, right? I think we do
Mhm.
get something out of it, but you don't know what,
What it is.
when, but you will.
You'll
Mhm.
recognize it.
Yeah.
Like that's the shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the shift.
Mhm.
That's the shift. You got completion, divine completion, completion, and then the completion to move on of certification for you to move on. And
Mhm.
I truly
Assignment
believe in that.
complete.
I truly believe in that in so many ways because when you do recognize that shift, and you might not recognize it to walk in it, you might recognize it a year later, like, you know what, I'm glad I made that move. That was your shift.
Mhm.
But it also shows your obedience because you're walking on faith and you're moving forward no matter what. But then when you get to sit down, God will sit there and reminisce with you.
Mhm.
He'll put things in your face and let you see things and show you you could have went this way. I could have put you through that way and still turned you out to be the same person that you are, but I could have put you that way. One of the signs when I from the question you was asking me,
Mhm.
I was living in Woodbridge, Virginia. We was in church one day and I think it was the pastor's birthday. And he was preaching about denying people their blessings.
Okay.
And he was talking about be careful what you ask for from God, because you might not get what you ask for right then and there, but it's gonna come on his time. And he
Mhm.
used the example of people saying, man, I wish I could be married as long as they was married. And he said, remember, you don't know what them people went through for 50 years and how obedient they were to get to them 50 years. God will give you that 10
Mhm.
times fold. Now, can you handle 10 times of what they went through? Then in the same breath, one of the elders had gave him a birthday gift and he tried to give it back to her. And she stood up and said, Pastor, don't block my blessing. Don't worry about what you think I'm going through. If I'm giving you something,
Mm.
accept this gift.
That's good.
And
'Cause
that
she was
always,
being obedient.
yes,
Okay.
yes. It's just like if you think about it, it's homeless people out here that will help people that got stuff.
Mhm. Everybody has something to give. It's just that there's so much focus on materialism
Yes.
that we think it has to be a physical, tangible thing to have something to give.
But it's also the offering that people go blind to.
Mhm.
I offered to pump your gas.
Mhm.
But we'll look at it and say it's a hustle.
And some of that is from our past hurts, our past traumas that said it's not safe, and we don't always assess what's present. Because sometimes it is appropriate to be like, nah, it is a hustle. But then I
Yeah.
think there are other times where in our spirits we know, but we just be like, I don't got time for this in case it does become something else. And so we do miss those opportunities.
Yes. You're right. You gotta I don't know. When my pastor in Virginia at Woodbridge, the way he preached, it touched me in so many different ways.
Mhm.
I've never heard no one explain to me what an intimate relationship with God was.
Okay. How did he explain it?
The way he explained it was you got to love on God the same way we love on our thoughts of the things we want. The intimacy of it. You got to love him to a point where you feel wrong for loving him the way that you do, because that's how he loves us.
Tell me more. I don't wanna assume this because I 'cause I'm intrigued by this different perspective. So we have to love him how?
It's okay to love him and feel wrong for loving him as much as we do.
Okay.
And he said one of the things he said was, let me remember. He said, we'll go out here and find a mate and love on our mate more than we love on ourselves. Why you
Uh-huh.
can't love God like that?
Yes, and that's why those
That's what
relationships
God
usually
gives
don't work.
us. That's what God gives us, which gives us questions like, God, why are you doing this for me? We're questioning him about some things. Why do you love me the way you love me, God? All he's asking you to do is return it. Trust me,
Yeah.
believe in me as I trust and believe in you.
Yeah. He wants to be chosen. And, I talk, in the work that I do, relationships are often a thing that bring people to therapy, right? Or some people, they're having a hard time in their season of waiting. And sometimes I've asked I've asked a few people, it's come up. Do they, whether it's a relationship they're trying to hold on to or the relationship that they desire? And I'm like, do you have this same level of desire for your relationship with God? And then when they sit there and they think about it, they're like, well, no. Or I'm asking, like, when you're dating, how much time are you giving to like what's the frequency and like duration of communication with the person you're dating, right? And so they'll tell me all this time. And then what happens when there's a break in that flow, that rhythm that you've become accustomed to, right? And they're like, sometimes I get nervous or I send a text, all the different anxious responses, or some of them get cold, they withdraw from people. And I say, well, what happens when there's a break in communication with God? Do you feel those same things? Is it that intense? Right? Because a lot of times it's not. And I've shared with the client, God is not gonna this is a season of you're waiting because it's preparation. And He's not giving you your partner yet because you have to do your work. Because what will happen then is this person will come into your life or friendships come into your life because some people are desiring community, right? And friendship and you'll slide them into God's position. And God's a jealous God and he's not going to have it. So the best thing you could do right now is like wait and focus on God and focus on yourself. And like people think that that's, it's not what they want to hear sometimes. It's not,
Hmm.
but it's like that's the reality of it. If you are not obedient, if you don't have like that good, deep, intimate relationship with God and you're speaking with him on a regular basis, but you're talking to this friend, this potential partner, or they're your boyfriend, your girlfriend, more than you talking to God, that's a whole problem. And low key, they've become an idol. And God
Yes.
is not gonna allow that. That it's not gonna
Yeah.
happen.
And what you just described as an intimate relationship.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the intimacy.
Yep.
And you're absolutely right about everything that you said. We will put so much time into what we don't have or what we're going to give, but not where and who we need to give that to. He don't mind
Mhm.
sharing.
Mhm. Just give him his first.
Just give him his first. But we one thing we will do is as soon as we break up, get to go through something, we in our books.
That's where I thought you was gonna go. I was waiting.
We in our
Hey.
books.
Yep. Scrolling
You
through.
know.
Who can I reach out to?
So, I just once I started realizing that, like what you said,
Mhm.
I also looked at the other part of it when you said, he's giving you all the tools to
Mm.
work on you.
Mhm. And the time.
These are also parts of what I call shifts as well. You know, people back in the day used to always say, oh, y'all spend all y'all week going shopping and going out all weekend. You can't get up and give God an hour of your time. I never felt with that. I never felt that understanding of that until I got older.
Uh-huh.
I said, and a friend of mine, we were just talking, and I said, it's crazy how we are trained humanly to do the wrong thing because it's so easy, and we make the right thing so hard. I said, and those are things that I try to switch because I always feel like, oh, I'm 52 years old. I've
50
lived one way,
young.
52 years young. I've lived one way for so long. I want to see what the other side feel like. I want to see what it really feels like to be obedient.
Mm.
I really want to understand why I don't trust my faith the way I need to. And it's costing me absolutely nothing but the time that he has given me. And I won't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I just started switching it. Started switching it. You know what? You come first. Even all the way down to myself. You know what? It takes absolutely no time to get up in the morning and do something as simple as just making your bed.
Mhm.
But we'll put too much intimacy on everything else after we got out the bed. I
Mhm.
gotta get to work. I'm rushing. I need to go eat. I need to go to get my coffee. I got my favorite radio station coming on. I gotta get in the car before I miss what they say. This and that. You ain't gave yourself no time. You ain't gave God no time.
Just
You just doing
running
running. And then as soon as you sit down, you're complaining about everything that happened.
because you didn't give yourself time to just settle, to be in silence and just be, wake up.
Yes. Yes. So I give myself that and I give God that. Get up, get on my knees, give my time. Then I give myself time. I don't cut no TVs on, no radios or nothing. I walk
Silence.
around, do what I need to do, fix me something to eat. I might turn the news on and I might not. No.
Listen, that
Ah,
news will throw your whole day off.
yeah. Yes,
And the
it
news
will.
is already done. We have to remember we're calling it news, but at that point, if we're hearing about it, most of it's already history. Those things have already happened, and we can't change what has happened. And at the same time, it is important to be informed. But some people, they drive themselves more anxious, more depressed,
Yeah.
watching the news and don't know how to shut it off. Okay. So, Vernon, how would you say you're able to understand when God is closing a door versus a time where you just need to push through? Because
Mm,
that's a tricky one.
mm.
Yeah, because he requires us to wait sometimes, and then depending on us, we might think it's easy to misinterpret that as a door being closed.
Yes, you're right. Me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I trust in the three physical conversations God gives me.
Okay. So you be saying some stuff. I'm intrigued.
If I don't see it in threes, then I
Oh,
know he's telling me to push.
give me an
If I see it,
example.
my move back here.
Okay.
How I got my place, everything that I prayed on when I moved, he has given me
Mm-hmm.
access to all the way up into moving back here. The path came in so many ways. The three things were I prayed on it that I needed to come back home. Gave me the okay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Came up, spoke to the owner of the shop where I work at.
Mm-hmm.
He happened to have a chair open for me,
Mm-hmm.
embraced me in, had a nice conversation with real great guy. And all in that same day, my daughter, my youngest daughter, who I hadn't spoken to in a while, popped up on me. My mom called me and said, your daughter wants you to call her.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm gonna do one better because I feel what God's doing right now.
Yeah.
Where she work at? And I popped up at her job.
Mhm.
Best feeling I ever had in my life. Went back to North Carolina. Everything just fell right in place. So I knew that's where I needed to. My path was open for me. So my obedience of that, God has given me, I kid you, I tell anybody this, everybody this, He has given me everything that I have ever prayed on.
Mhm.
Everything.
He keeps his promises.
So my obedience to Him, to my faith, is that I always have to ask Him, where do you need me to be? You've given me what I want, but I'm not going to be selfish to you and just say, all right, I got mine, I'm good. Where you need me to be? I don't ask him, what do you want for this? Because it's not a trade. But where do you need me to be? He put me in this location. The owner asked me, have you reached out to any of your old customers? I said, nah. What's for me is for me. Got on my knees, prayed over my station, and I've just been letting everything come to me. You are probably the 20th person that I used to cut on Georgia Avenue
Wow. Because
that
I was
has
going to
found me
ask
at this
you.
job.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many have come back?
Yeah, I got quite a few from Georgia Avenue,
Yeah.
and some of them had actually let their hair grow out and hadn't even had a haircut since I left.
How long we talking? Are these COVID cuts or longer? Because I'm like, that's wild. Not getting cuts.
Yeah, they was growing dreads.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they was growing dreads, and families, and so I just looked at it, and every day I thank them because I know it's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, leaving it up to me, how my life was, I didn't think I would be here past 25.
Now that feels like that's a story that probably would be a whole other episode. But
Yeah.
how did you? Well, actually, no, we could work that in because that was a former like version of you. A shift had to happen to come out of that. So moving from a mindset of I'm not going to live past 25, like tell me about that shift.
That shift came, wow. Once I realized I was here, my choices came clearer.
When you mean here, what do you mean?
I had moved to Maryland.
Okay.
Them years I was in New Jersey.
Okay.
Had gotten some trouble. It didn't look good all the way around the board
It was serious.
to the point that friends became non-friends. I was left for dead,
When you say that, do you mean
ancestors,
literally or just that people you could have been dead and they would have never known? They never look back.
both,
Oh, wow.
both.
Yeah.
Um, Once again, speaks to me in threes. Got in trouble with the law.
Mhm.
Judge was being so nasty with me. My charge was in New York City. He wouldn't let me transfer to New Jersey. I did make my transportation back and forth and couldn't be late or he was going to violate me and all that.
Yeah.
2 years go past. I finally get enough letters and stuff and my aunt allowed me to move down here.
Okay.
And he let me transfer.
Okay.
So time goes on, I make it past 25. And now I'm being more cautious of my choices because I've been betrayed by so many that I
Mhm.
probably would have took a bullet for. And I just started looking at life differently. Like, okay,
Yeah.
once again, not even being obedient to my faith at this time as I know it,
Mhm.
but still asking, okay, God, I'm here. It's a reason why you're still with me. What is it that you need from me? All I know is how to be this. But you're holding on to me and putting me in places where I have to be that. And
Mhm.
I used to fight it. I
That
used to fight it.
resistance. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh man, that's Uncle Vernon. Nah, don't do that. People want to include me with their family. Nah, I don't want to do that. Not knowing these kids are looking up to me. My kids are looking up to me. My daughter years later has said something to me with the shift.
Mhm.
I made it past 25, and I took it as a sign that God was reminding me, you're here.
You're here.
She said to me, she had she was pregnant with her first child. She said to me, I need you to come up here and teach this young man that she was with how to be a father. I don't like this Vernon nigga that you turned into. I need you to be the nickname guy. And I had to tell her, that's not who you want in your life because he don't care. I'm your father. I'm Vernon. That's who you know.
Mhm.
And that right there let me know, okay, I must have had a really, really, really bad life going on. But to some people, that's a glorified life. It's a
Yeah.
respectable life.
That's when
To
they don't
me, I'm
they
looking
don't
at it
know.
saying that, yeah, to me, I'm saying we always talk about having second chances. Here's mine.
Uh-huh.
It was so easy for me to move back up and be who I was.
Mhm.
Or do I be obedient, show my appreciation for living past 25, make a life, and still can do what I've been doing, taking care of my kids,
Yeah.
still showing them something new and different, still making them feel what love feels like, something that
Mhm.
I really never got. I've gotten it, but I've gotten it in a different way.
And that's what's hard sometimes. It doesn't look how we want it and need it to look, and it doesn't always come from who we want it to come from. And that can, like you said, you were like, "Nah, I'm not Uncle Vernon," right? Because you're like, "No," because you when you don't get it the way you need it, would like it, and from whom you want to, some of us, we shut down. We close off. We say, "Well, that must not have been meant for me." And we miss out on other opportunities when the people sometimes we want it from, their assignment was to get us here so that someone else who was better equipped could love us, help raise us, help shape us, help mold us. But nobody tells us that. And then sometimes the adults are not having conversations for the kids to understand why things might be how they are, or to even just process that, right? Like, cause my mom wasn't in my life from 6 up until she really came back, like, within the last 5 years. I saw her less than 5 times from the time I was 6, right? Up until about let me see. So I was 6, I didn't see her again until I was a sophomore in high school. And then after that, I didn't see her again until I was like 21. And then more gaps. But, God sends us who we need and what we need. And if we can allow it, it can bless us. But I can also hear, and this happens to people, it turns people cold. 'Cause
Yeah.
then we can internalize messages that say, "I'm unlovable," or "I'm not enough," or any other or "and." I'll add some "ands" in there because sometimes it's a combination of things, and so we our hearts are broken, and we preserve that broken heart.
Yes. And it also comes from, like you said, when you don't know and you don't know to pay attention to the guidance that's around you.
Mhm.
All you see is what you see. So it's hard for a person not to turn cold because you never know what circumstances they were in. And
Right.
that's mine. I was a cold person because that's the circumstances I was in. But then as I got older, I started looking at it differently.
Mhm.
I wasn't in a situation where I had to be cold. That was a choice I made.
Well, I would say it may have been something you needed to survive at that time because the pain was so great.
So great. That's the choice.
It's a choice, but it's also survival.
Yeah. Yeah. The circumstances that you brought up in, it's survival.
Yeah.
But I stopped looking at it like that because I didn't want to consider myself as, I don't want to say weak. It's another word I'm looking for.
Vulnerable?
Vulnerable.
Okay.
I didn't want to seem vulnerable to myself. So, me, I was a small guy growing up with the people I grew up with. I was a little guy. I was just small, but
Mhm.
I didn't want to be vulnerable. Nobody really knew what my circumstances was but me. And as I
Mhm.
got older, I started looking at it, like you said, the emptiness of the missing pieces. And that's where my code came from, because it was like, I'm not being loved by who I feel I should be loved by. And
Mhm.
I'm growing up with these people that have just as less as I have, and they're still welcoming me into their home. And I'm still being cold because I'm still looking at it as, this is your home.
I don't
It's
believe.
not mine. I'm not looking at it as I'm better or I can have better or should have better. I'm looking at it as, I want damn near what y'all have, but with mine.
Was there ever a part of you that was afraid of getting comfortable in those spaces and that it
Yes,
might change? Okay.
yes,
So you stay
yes.
cold. It's almost like the
And I've sabotaged good relationships because of that.
uh-huh. So it kind of reminds me, Vernon, of if you talk to people who have lived experiences in the foster care system,
Mhm.
how they won't get comfortable. They will sabotage if when it's a good situation as well, like attempts to have like normal life or healthy or just experience love.
With mine's, as I look back on it, with my growth to help me grow,
Mhm.
and asking God to guide me through a lot of things, it was more so of embarrassment.
Mm.
I was embarrassed. I was ashamed, and didn't have to be.
I was gonna ask, was it anything that you had done?
It was just me.
But it
It was
wasn't
just,
you, right?
well,
At the same time, you how
to be in them situations.
yes.
No, I don't think it is, because I was too young.
Okay. Yep.
It wasn't a choice I had
Mhm.
in them situations when I
Mhm.
was that young. To be here, there, and there.
Mhm.
That was an adult decision. I think growing up, where that coldness come from,
Mhm.
I didn't want to know. I accepted it. It is what it is, and you can't apologize for it.
Well, now you locking it down. So not
So
only are
what?
you cold, you've locked anything that was remotely warm about you behind a door, and you said,
Mhm.
"Nah."
And then when I noticed that you can kick a door in and try to
Mm,
make me feel that way,
mm,
I start wrapping stones around it.
building a wall.
I'm throwing them in the ocean, and I'm leaving them to a point that I would forget life that I had because I didn't want to be bothered with certain people. That's how cold it got.
That's very cold, and we're not designed for that at all.
No, we're not.
And I can only imagine what type of choices and how you might have been moving with that level of coldness, even maybe reckless. It's just what
That's
I'm
why.
thinking, yeah.
So going back to that shift you asked me about,
Mhm.
how did I know when God was telling me push forward, or this is done with, go on? When I made it past 25,
Mhm.
that's what I was meaning when I said, let me see what the opposite side is. It got to be something different in this world.
Yeah.
And once I started doing that, throughout my years, I started seeing, no matter how hard of a struggle I had to this point, or
Mhm.
how easy of a struggle I had to this point, it was people in my life that needed fixing, and my presence just needed to be there.
Mhm.
And I started accepting that. When I was in Woodbridge, the pastor had made me one of the men's, in the men's ministry, he made me one of the leaders.
Mhm.
And I had came up with a suggestion box that I just found out is still in there,
Love
still
it.
at the church. I prayed over it, and God came to me, and I asked him, what can I do, about my life and get something out of this at the same time. And I came up with this suggestion box and the words SOS. SOS is a distress signal.
Uh-huh. And I want to see if you had another me.
Yes, it does. I call it what was it? Sheeps of shepherds.
Okay.
And the reason why I broke it down like that was listening to the elders in the church in the men's ministry.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they were trying to move was the direct opposite of how I was trying to move.
Mm.
And we had went to a jail ministry one time, and I had suggested us to go to the juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
I said these adults have already made their choices, but if I had somebody in my life as a juvenile
Earlier intervention.
to even put it in my head, you might not have reached me at that moment, but it would
Mm-hmm.
have been energy for me to maybe the year or the day after or life after
Mm-hmm.
that it'd get to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to reach. So when I came up with Sheeps of Shepherd, shepherds had to learn and hear the mannerism of the sheeps in order to guide them.
Mm-hmm.
Sheeps don't pay attention. Nothing. You have to teach things. When we're babies, our parents is teaching us what not to touch, what to touch. They're talking around us, so we'll know how to talk. That's why all babies come up with different languages. Spanish people grow up talking Spanish to their babies. So
Mm-hmm.
they might learn Spanish language before they learn English.
Mm-hmm.
Foreigners know 5 different languages, and English is the last language that they're trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, how do we reach the community? You got to hear them. You got to
Mm-hmm.
listen to them so you'll
Mm-hmm.
know where you can guide them or know where to let God allow you to guide them to.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're just going to go in there as shepherds and talk to the sheep, you're going to always have one that's going to stray off because he ain't going to understand what's going on. He's going to look at you and say, nah, this ain't what we normally do. We
Mm-hmm.
don't stand here and look at you. We go over here and graze this grass. We go drink this water. But you got to learn the flow of everything
Mm-hmm.
before you can guide it how you want to go. Even when you turn on the sink, you can turn on the sink hard or low, but you gotta listen to the water and see the water to see what adjustment you want it to be.
So
You
you
gotta
in
turn it
here,
left,
or one or the other, depends on the person.
right. So that was one of the things that I took it in like that. Like, okay, I've always been this type of person, never followed nobody.
Mm.
Our parents call that what? Hard headed.
Sometimes it can
Yeah,
be,
you're being hard headed, or you want to be the class clown, or you think you're gonna do this, or you want to be the leader amongst the thugs. You want your own circle. You know,
but it's leadership nonetheless.
yes, it's a lesson learned.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got the second chance
Mm-hmm.
with God, with life,
Mm-hmm.
I started saying to myself, listen, how can I tell somebody else listen if I ain't listening? I'm hearing y'all tell me who I am, but I'm not listening because I want to control the situation.
Okay, I think I got a good question to keep this going, right? Like, especially if it's when it's what you want to do. What are the dangers, or in your experience, what is the danger? You can go general or you can go personal, right? Of staying in a season longer than God intended for you to stay in.
Emotional destruction.
Oh, tell me more.
I've gone into situations with open hearts,
Mhm.
friends, relationships, or just a friend buddy. We will enter into something with the same mindset. We both want this. We both like this. We both love this.
Mhm.
When it goes bad, one person is always going to stay, and it goes from caring about your peace
Mhm.
to you taking on their pain. And it does nothing but emotionally destroy you because now you're sitting there saying to yourself, this person don't want to stop. They're not trying to get out of this rabbit hole. And that rabbit hole is so destructive down there. They start beating you up because of what they don't want to do.
Yeah, their own stuff.
Yeah, I look at it like that, and that's from experience. And I've done it at a younger age. I've punished. We do that. We will punish somebody for what we've been through, for what the last person did to us.
Well, that's what they say, hurt people, but also when we don't take time to heal, we bleed on the person that didn't cut us. And I think all too often, especially with like just interactions with people, is that the bad thing happens. Rightfully so, we don't ever want to experience that type of hurt again, right? So we
Mhm.
say, never again. But then we go into the new place, new space, new environment, new relationship, whatever it is, and we don't assess. Instead, we only do it one-sided. We're assessing for threats. We're not assessing the actual environment in its totality. We're looking for the threats, not seeing what could be benefits. What are the things that can enhance us and pour into us? So we sabotaged it thinking we're keeping ourselves safe when it has nothing to do with this person, nothing about this person's character suggests that they're going to do the things that happened before, but we're too raw. But then really we need to sit down. That's what happens. Like we didn't sit down and heal, but then we're still looking for connection. I think that's what really happens in terms of relationships, friendships. And I wanted
That's
to
how.
ask you, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you
And
want
I
to ask?
wanted to ask you because I hear a theme about the people you have opened up to. It didn't go well, right? And so then that
Mhm.
makes me wonder, did these people earn that loyalty like you were talking about, the ones that you were willing to really ride for? Or the people who you were trying so hard, like were in relationship with to like kind of lift them up maybe and it didn't work or they took advantage of you. Did they earn it, right? Because I think sometimes we go and we want what we want and this person was not a good fit, but they were good enough, and then we're surprised when it don't work.
Well, I wouldn't use the word earn.
Uh-huh.
I always walk into any type of relationship wanting what I give off.
Is that communicated or is it just
Yes, it's
okay,
communicated.
awesome.
To me, it's important that I can't ask you for a clean plate if I'm going to give it you.
Okay. Okay.
I can't ask you not to punish me for what the last guy did if I'm going to punish you for what the last woman did.
Mhm.
You are who you are. I'm attracted to you for who you are,
Mhm.
not who you think I need you to be for me.
Some people they don't know that. They've learned to
They
be what and sometimes that was a function of survival for some people. Other people it's
yes,
manipulation. You and it's
yes,
sometimes you got to find out.
but that's the lie we tell ourselves, and I
Mhm.
say ourselves because I've been a victim of it and I've done it.
Mhm.
In my past. We all sit there and say, "Man, I already had this type of woman. I don't want that type of woman. I already had this type of man. I don't want that type of man." But then we go and meet every criteria of the man of the person we dealt with, and still walk into that fire
Yeah, cuz you didn't learn
because
your
we think it's
lesson.
going. We learn our lesson, but
Mhm.
I can't change you. You can't change me. But sometimes when that chemistry feels right, you walk in on faith. But then the other person might not have the same faith as you,
Mhm. It
and
could
then that
also be
starts.
familiar and
Yeah, but you got to trust yourself.
yeah, but
You got
sometimes
to trust yourself.
sometimes we don't because we're just moving off of
Yes.
emotion and depending on
Mhm.
where we are in life. Like, there's so many parts to it and it can be really, really complicated. And so when I was saying you haven't learned your lesson, I didn't mean it like, you
Right.
deserve what you get. That's not what I mean when I say that as much as
Mhm.
life is a series of tests. And I say like life is like a video game. So if
Mhm.
you keep the same situation keeps coming around, but it's different people, or if it's the same type of circumstance, or you having the same like response to it, it's a test. It's an opportunity for you to choose different to go to the next level. So
To
just
go to
like
the
if you
next level.
play Super Mario Brothers and you don't get it, or you were supposed to jump and you hit it too late, like you go back and you start over, right? And the goal is get to the end and get the princess, but you keep going. But some people they turn the video game off.
This goes to your question.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing forward.
Mm.
Or what was the question? You
Staying longer than God intended.
stand longer than God intended.
Mhm.
We have tendencies that we think. like I said, it shifts. So now you forget about yourself and your peace. And some of us start thinking, God has me here for a reason. I need to stick around. We start putting that on him. I need to stick around till this person figures out that I'm good for them.
Ooh, not having approved love, then that's you
Not having
choosing
the
it.
proof up. And the proof that you're choosing wrong in that matter is you're forgetting about you.
Mm.
You're turning into a crutch for this person, and this person ain't changing, and it's the same pattern, like you said, the same pattern is happening and happening and happening, and you're not walking away yet because you don't want to hurt this person's feelings.
Which means you
You,
aren't moving when you need to move, and
when you
that
need to move.
your motivations
So
aren't pure.
so now you're hurt, and this goes back to what you were saying. So now you're hurt, and hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Now y'all hurting each other.
Uh-huh.
You
When
can't
y'all
move
was
away from each other. Y'all back and forth, hating each other, cussing each other out, and going all crazy on each other. Then you're sleeping with each other. Then y'all going back to the, well, you this and you that, waiting to see who gonna move first. Me, my peace is everything to me now.
now.
My peace is everything. My peace of mind is everything to me now. I can take some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of stuff that I sit there and I've had to pray on it.
Yep.
I've had to, God, I'm sorry. I pray that I was obedient enough to be where you need me to be at the moment you needed me to be.
Yeah.
Me, my human side is telling me get out of this.
Mm.
And like I said, he showed me my things and them threes, it'll come.
Yeah.
Blessings start coming out the window and I'm sitting there like, okay, I see you. I'm good. And I make sure I didn't do wrong
Mm-hmm.
on my walk away. But sometimes it's okay to be selfish to yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to say,
Sometimes,
you know what, for my health and my
yes,
mental health,
it's self-love.
damn that, I don't owe you anything.
Mhm. And one thing that I'm considering, and you don't necessarily have to respond, but I know from experience, and then also some things that my friends have gone through is that we find ourselves in toxic situations, right? Like what you were describing, or any type of iteration of it that's not healthy, right? And I think part of the problem is we're not consulting God when we meet the person. We doing what we want to do. We've not asked him, and then we want him to clean it. And it's going to be an episode on that, dating with discernment, knowing who's sent and who's a distraction, right?
You see
Because
how your circle just went though?
what's up?
You see how you just put your halo on?
Tell me.
The question you asked me earlier,
Huh?
the intimacy.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Intimacy it doesn't always mean soft touching and all that. Remember I said the way he preached it was like sometimes you got to feel uncomfortable and wrong for loving on God the way you do. The intimacy of that, how we don't put him in it, like you just said,
Uh-huh.
hurt people hurt people. We will put
Uh-huh.
intimacy into that. We will love on each other enough to hate on each other.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us do need some work in the area of self-love,
Yes.
which is
Human,
why
it's
we showing up the way we do sometimes in relationships, because we have our own love deficits, and we don't yet know that we got to get situated with God, and he can pour in and fill in where earthly experiences, earthly caregivers have failed or didn't make the mark, or they missed the mark. So when we can do that, then we have overflow to pour from to go into a healthy relationship. But Imma move us on because this is going good.
yes.
But if you could tell our listeners or give them some tips or advice about how to position themselves for transitions while staying aligned with God's plan.
You gotta trust what you ask for
Mm.
and what you pray on.
Mhm.
You have to trust it.
Mhm.
So right after your prayer and you give God all you want and everything,
Mhm.
you have to keep your heart and your mind open
Mm.
because it can come at any time. It's not gonna never come how you want it to come or how you see it coming, but it's gonna come.
Mm.
It's definitely gonna come.
So I heard trust and wait.
Trust and wait. It's gonna come.
Okay. Anything else on that?
Well, that's it. Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Yeah. So, if you could leave the audience with one powerful truth to help them rise in faith and thrive in purpose, what would it be?
Love, love. God
Mm,
is love.
hmm And we are love. So if you love love, you loving yourself and you're loving on God. Okay. And God loving on you.
Amen.
Okay. Amen. I'm here for that. Well, Vernon, thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Now, if people want to come get a cut, where can the people find you?
Oh, I'm at a cut above, heads up, 14703 Baltimore Avenue, Laurel, Maryland. 6 days a week.
6 days a
Mondays,
week.
mon-
Well,
uh,
do you
Tuesday through
do?
Sunday.
Okay, I was like, do you? I know y'all not open on
Yeah,
Monday because I tried to send a lady to
yeah,
you.
I'm gone. Yeah, I'm
This
gone on Monday. I need a day off.
Yes, this lady was visiting our church on a Sunday. She was a family member of a one of our members, and she was like, "I love your haircut," and I didn't have it like molded down, and I was like, "Let me give you his name," and like got her all set up. She got to the part to schedule an appointment because she was like, "I'll leave tomorrow." I was like, "Dang, I forgot it's a barber shop. He ain't open on Monday."
Yeah, yeah, Tuesday through Sunday.
Yeah, Tuesday through Sunday. Tell them about the app, how they can find you on the app.
I'm also on the Cut app on the Vernon Young. You can find me on there's the Cut app. I forgot how it go. I didn't did it so long.
I think that's it. Yeah, The Cut is the app, and I mean, you sent me a link, but let me see.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pulling it up now because if they want to find you, we want to make it easy. And
I
Vernon
think it's the
Y is what I see.
Vernon Y.
Vernon Y. Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
the at the Cut app. It's the Cut app at Vernon Y. I think it is.
Okay. Actually, you know what? Boom. Let me see on share. I can do that right now. Well, technology moving slow. Did you? I put up photos too so people can see your work. If they look under you, I added them.
Yeah, well, once they go on that QR code, it go right to it. So
Oh,
on
okay.
the call.
Okay. Okay. And what I will do too is I'll link it in the bottom here because it's taking a minute for this to show up. Oh, yeah. So it's actually app.book.thecut.co/Vernon Y. So I'll make
Okay.
sure when I post this on YouTube, and if I can put it in the description on the other platforms, that the link is also there so that they can find you. You can get you some business and change some lives, put them healing hands on the
Right.
people. All
Yes, Lord.
right. So, listeners, we are at the time in the show where it's time for your call to action, where we reflect, take action, and you will leave affirmed. So, for your reflection, I want you to think about where in your life is God calling you to shift? And are you resisting or embracing the move? And so, in terms of action, I want you to ask God for clarity on your next step and be willing to take action and to step in faith. And finally, I'm going to leave you with an affirmation. I trust God's direction. When He says move, I will move. All right, Vernon. Well, it's again, has been a pleasure. I'll see you in about 2 weeks since I came to see you yesterday.
All right.
And you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And it's
You too.
been,
Enjoy your evening. I
thank
appreciate
you.
you.
All right. Well, take care.
All right.
Okay. Bye bye.